Hey friends, what's up? Phillip here with Points of Phillip, and I'm here because there is an all-time high bonus on an incredible hotel card that can actually help you get one of the most powerful lounge cards in the game. So before we get into what that is, I'd like to go ahead and ask you guys to like and subscribe. Doing that helps YouTube and me to know, first of all, if what I'm doing is helpful, but also it helps other people to see this content. So thank you. I really appreciate that if you can do that. But, you know, if you already are liking and subscribing my videos, I just want to say thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot. Anyway, let's get into the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless. And so that's going to be this card right here. And so this card here is, first of all, I got this about a year and a half ago. And I got this as part of a 5 free night award. In fact, this is actually the last time this card came with a 5 free night award as a sign-up bonus. Now, so that's what's going on right now. So up until maybe the middle of July, it's uncertain exactly when this will expire, but we do know that this will expire soon. So this card, currently, the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless, has an all-time high sign-up bonus of 5 free night awards up to 50,000 points each. So that's 50,000 times 5. So that's, you know, a lot of points, right? Now, here's the thing. In order to get these points, you need to spend $5,000 over the course of the first 3 months you have the card in order to qualify for the bonus. And so $5,000 is very similar to how Chase does for their all-time high sign-up bonuses. We saw that with the Chase Sapphire Preferred sign-up bonus, which recently this spring had a 100,000 point bonus, and that also required $5,000 in spend. And so this is kind of like how, you know, Chase does their sign-up bonuses now. So this card here has a $95 annual fee. It's a Visa signature card, and it comes with some interesting perks. And so the first of which is each card member anniversary, you get a 35,000 point free night award. Now, so that's really going to be interesting. Now, this actually doesn't come the first year that you have it. You actually have to pay the annual fee, and then it comes back into your Marriott account afterwards. And so that's really helpful. Now, this also earns 6 points per dollar on Marriott purchases, earns 3 points per dollar on the first 6,000 of the combined spend on gas, dining, and grocery purchases. And so it's kind of all that goes into that $6,000 kind of pot, and then once you reach more than $6,000 in spending, then it goes to 2 points per dollar. And so that's important to know. Now, so here's the thing. So I got this thing a year and a half ago, and I actually used this to product change into the Ritz Carlton card. And so we can get into that in a minute. But so what can you do with this card? So first of all, there's the 5 free nights, the sign-up bonus that you get with this card, right? So we're going to get into what kind of value you can get with that. But at the end of the year, what can you do, right? So obviously, the first play, the play that I did, is to turn this card with a very high sign-up bonus, use that sign-up bonus on a really solid vacation, but then also use that to, you know, use that the fact that you have that card to transition into the Ritz Carlton. In fact, that's actually the only way you can do that, is transferring a Chase Marriott card to a Ritz Carlton card after you've held the card for a year, and you have to have at least $10,000 credit line on that account. So, but if you don't want to do that, you still have some solid options at the end of year one. So first of all, you can actually downgrade this card if you don't want to pay that $95 annual fee again. You can actually downgrade this card to the Marriott Bonvoy Bold, and that has no annual fee. It doesn't really get you that much, doesn't really have a lot of kind of earning potential, but it does get you in a position where you can keep that account open if you want to, say, upgrade it again to a different card down the road. And so, you know, that's one option. Now, the second option, and this is actually very valid, right? You can actually just keep this card open, right? So a 35,000 point free night award every year can be quite helpful, and we'll get into what I've seen with that. Now, you can also upgrade this to the very best lounge access card there is, which is the Ritz Carlton credit card. And so I'm going to talk about how this is kind of the best lounge card, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So let's go back to the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless. So what happens if you want to keep the 35,000 point free night award? So here's the thing. So you can top it up to get 15,000 points. So if you have the 15,000 Marriott points in your account, you can top this off to 50,000 points. Now, here's the thing. This gets me a free night at most places. In fact, this year, my wife and I are staying at a pretty nice, I think, a loft in downtown Huntsville. And that's going to save us like $300, I think, from that particular stay, and that's kind of nice. But you can also stay at some other places like the Grand Bohemian in downtown Orlando. Usually is a solid option for a nice date night. There's a couple great steakhouses in the area. You go to dinner and just stay over at the hotel, and that's pretty nice. And that's usually like $350 to $400 a night. And some nights of the year, like not during like the high seasons, you can get it for pretty close to that 35,000 point free night. You only have to top off like, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 points in order to get there. And so that is a very solid option. So if you want to keep this card open, pay the $95 annual fee, but then also get $300 to maybe $400 in value off with that free night, it is possible. Right? So that's one solid option. Now, let's take a look at the Ritz Carlton. So what does that get you? So first of all, this card has a $450 annual fees, which is a little bit higher than the $95 fee on the Marriott Boundless. Now, this also does have a $300 travel incidental credit for any purchases on this card. Now, officially, it's just for airline fees, but it can also be used for more than that. You actually have to call the number on the back of this card, and you get directly into the JP Morgan Chase line, and they help you figure that out. And it sounds like it's pretty wide open. I've heard some data points where people have been able to successfully use it for rental cars or hotel rooms. Again, your mileage may vary, but it's been pretty interesting. But this year, actually, I use it for to pay off the travel fees on a Virgin Atlantic point redemption flight. So, basically, I used it for what it's supposed to be used for this year, but I can test it out next year. Now, you also get an 85,000 point free night award, and you can actually get some really solid value. In fact, actually, if you take a look at this video up here, you can see that you actually can get almost $1,000 a night in value just from using that single free night award. And so that's really huge. Now, you also can get 3 free Ritz Club upgrades. The Ritz Carlton card, or the Ritz Carlton properties, are very exclusive with their lounges. You actually have to pay for them or hold this card in order to do it. Now, I don't really have a plan to use these upgrade awards. Just because you actually have to pay a certain cash rate. I think you have to be there for at least 2 nights. And so that's not something that's on my radar, at least for the next year or two. But it's an option. Now, you also get unlimited lounge access for any authorized users and you. And the reason why this is important is because, the Venture X just recently decided to nuke their lounge access starting in February of next year. Essentially, they will make you pay $125 for each authorized user if you want to give them lounge access. And so this, first of all, has free authorized users, but also gives them free access to Priority Pass lounges. So it has Priority Pass Select, but also gives you unlimited access to Chase Sapphire lounges as well. And so that's going to be, really nice. Now, so you have unlimited lounge access, right? Now, you also have really great travel protections. And in some cases, this actually will have higher travel protections than if you have, say, the American Express Platinum card. And so that's interesting, right? So let's take a look at what you can do with these free nights. But before we do that, I want to discuss my favorite wallet. So my friends at Exter have sent in over a number of wallets. This one is my favorite. This is the Exter Wallet Pro, and it really has a very really high quality leather, and there's actually these wonderful pockets which I use for cash, and then you can also put your credit cards here in this first thing, but then also there is a nice little mechanism, and it's very easy to use, and you can put all your cards. Look, you can see I put my Delta card, my One Key card, my Hilton Aspire card, my Gemini card, Gold card, and my Platinum, and my driver's license. And so it really holds a lot, and it's really nice. In fact, at the bottom here, there's actually a room for the card finder. So this is actually works with Find My with Apple, and this basically is now my wallet. It's RFID protected, and it's really kind of nice. Now, before I use this wallet, I did use the Belroy kind of the card sleeve, and it was nice, but the only problem is it really didn't have any room for my cash if I wanted to carry all the cards I could. And so, well, anyway, I'm trying out this Extter Wallet and I'm really liking it. If you want to try out the Extter Wallet, there's a link in the description below that can get you up to 40% off with the Father's Day promotion. But normally, if you're watching after Father's Day, then that link will actually get you 10% off on your Extter purchases. Now, thanks for, now that that's out of the way, let's get into what can you do with these 50,000 free night awards. So in some parts of the year, the JW Marriott in Orlando, and this is going to be the Grand Lakes one because there's two. There's one immediately close to Disney, and then there's one that's on the same property as the Ritz Carlton in Orlando, and that property is really nice. It has its own private golf course. They have one of the restaurants of the JW Marriott has like a ranch on the property that they actually like use the produce from to, in the food. So it's actually really interesting. Now, if you go, sometimes the rates will fall into 50,000 point range, right? So you think fall during the week, right? So if you're looking for to redeem these points for a weekend in the summer, then your points probably won't go very far. But the fact of the matter remains that you can use these points, and if you do that, the cash rate usually during that time is going to be like $375, $400 a night, and so $400 a night times 5 nights is, well, a lot of money off just because you spent money on this card. Now, you also have in Orlando, that's kind of my backyard, we have a lot of really cool resorts to spend, so that's kind of where I'm going to play around with. Now, the World Center Marriott is a little bit older, but it's also well within that range usually, and the cash rates are around $350 a night, and so that's cool to know too. Now, so these nights are best used in places other than like if you're planning, like you just want to go utilitarian, go to a Spring Hill Suites or something like that, then this is not, you don't want to use these free nights for that. Now, the Walt Disney World Dolphin is also a good place to use these rewards. They often have nights that are available, and that's actually right on the Disney Boardwalk. In fact, it's actually a walk or a boat ride away from Epcot and then the monorail system and all that. And so, well, there's a lot of things you can do with these free nights. So first of all, basically you could do what I did, turn this card into the Ritz Carlton card, or you could just kind of hold on to this card. So basically, honestly, the fact of the matter is basically, if you have a 524 slot, this is not a bad way to go. And so anyway, if you actually want to use my referral link in the description below, that will help you kind of basically help me get some more points and help you get some points as well. And so thanks so much for doing that. But thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you again. Until next time.